Hi, this is Real Men Unscripted with D&D, Derek and Domingo. We hope you enjoy this podcast.
Hey, welcome back to Real Men Unscripted. I'm Derek.
And I'm Domingo. Welcome back.
He forgot we were recording.
Yes, I did.
And we're back with our main man, our pastor, Scott, from Hope Church. And so this is part 2.
Yeah.
And
thanks for having me, guys.
welcome
back.
So hopefully you liked part 1, and now we're bringing part 2, and we're going to get right into it. When you were growing up, did you want to be a pastor, or was there, because you were a skateboarder, so did you want to be like, that famous skateboarder guy?
Tony Hawk?
Yeah.
Tony Hawk was the GOAT, for sure, is the GOAT. I did not want to be a pastor. I did not know what a pastor was. I did not grow up a Christian, so my story is I grew up in Old Henderson, like we mentioned last episode. Great family, but not a Christian family. So I like to say it's kind of like a lot of Vegas families. Like I grew up here. Just my life was playing punk rock music, skateboarding, watching the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Dallas Cowboys. Let's go. My buddy invited. I didn't really know anything about Jesus. I knew some friends of mine that were Mormon, and so that was like my only experience with any sort of religion or anything. And I didn't hate it, but I just didn't know anything about it. So my buddy invited me the day after the homecoming dance of my junior year. So I was 16. He invited me to a church here in town, which I eventually gave my life to Christ at, Central, big church here in town. And went to church for the first time and was like blown away. I thought, wow, this is church. I didn't know this. I didn't know they did it like this. And just kept going. And about a year later, I went to a summer camp right before my senior year. And that's when I gave my life to Jesus and began a relationship with him. Been following ever since. And then that's when I started to lead worship. Like it was a whole change from like playing backyard parties, just like 4 chords screaming into a microphone, to like leading worship. So it was a whole change in like learning how to play guitar differently. And I started doing that as a senior in high school, and then eventually met my now wife. And that's when I began to like meet youth pastors that really were pouring into me. And that's when God kind of began to change my heart my goal was a lot of guys' goal back then. I wanted to play music and tour the world and be a rock star.
Oh, okay. So you did have something you wanted to do.
I started going to UNLV for the business of music. That was the degree I started going for the first year. Back then, this is early 2000s. I graduated in 2004 from high school. So early 2000s, especially in like the punk scene, like independent record labels were everything. Like, you didn't want to sell out to one of those major labels. You had your independent garage, kind of garage label. But there was a bunch of them that were like making headway. Like they were creating a lot of great bands. And so that was the goal. Me and my buddy were like, we're going to start our own record company and make music and tour the world,
Nice.
It's like, how many guys wanted to do that back then? Everyone.
Yeah.
Then my girlfriend at the time.
I can't sing, so that would never cross my mind.
My girlfriend at the time is now my wife, Candace. She, out of nowhere, we're dating about a year. She's like, I'm going to this small Bible college in Temecula, California. So you should probably know that. And
so she was gonna
immediately I felt called to go to the same Bible college. I literally like super spiritualized it back then, but now it's way far enough in the past. I'm like, I straight followed that girl. I was like, I'm not losing this one. So that's when I went to California to Bible college. My parents thought I was crazy. I dropped out. I had a full ride scholarship to UNLV, which it is now as a parent. I get it. Like they were tripping, and they should have been. Like I was dropping out of a full ride scholarship to a major university to go to an unaccredited Bible school for some girl. And God worked it out, but I can like my parents they were not with it.
They were not happy.
So in that 2 years though is when God kind of changed my heart, and I still love music, and to this day still play music, but didn't want to do that with my life anymore. And that's when I kind of was like, what the youth pastors that poured into me did is what I want to do for other young men. So that's when I came back in 2007. That's when I started going to Hope Church, and the rest is history. Started interning for Travis, and that's when everything kind of changed.
So you both ended up going how many years?
2 years.
At this Bible college?
2 years. Associates, Calvary Chapel Bible College down. It actually recently closed. Now they have one in, I forget lives somewhere in Idaho, I think. They have like,
So
it's up in the
you
mountains.
lived there though
Yeah, we went
on the
yeah,
campus.
Yeah, they had a beautiful campus there in Marietta. It's the little town, or it's not really little anymore, big city right next to Temecula, about 45 minutes from San Diego. We loved it. I mean, it was amazing. I got to go spend a semester in Germany. They have like extension campuses all over the world. We got to go visit Israel. So I went to Israel for 10 days. It was amazing. It was amazing. Amazing 2 years.
Wow.
Fell in love with God's word there.
And fell in love with Candace.
Yeah, I think I was already in love with Candace. That's why I went there.
Yeah.
But yeah, seriously, that's when we came back and started getting plugged in at Hope, got married, and kind of.
So when you came
took
back,
off.
you went to Hope instead of return to Central.
Yeah, so that was when, shout out to Judd Wilhite. I've heard nothing but great things. I've talked to him several times. He's a great dude. But that was when, if you know the history of Central, there was a pastor named Gene Apple.
Yes, he started.
That for years was my wife's pastor, my mother-in-law's pastor. And so when that transition happened, it's a tough transition. It wasn't like the one we just went through at Hope, where Judd kind of came up through the system, if you will, the farm system, if you will. He was kind of an outside guy. So those are always a lot harder. Like if instead of me leading Hope, we would have went and found like a prominent pastor somewhere else to come
like
lead Hope.
Matt Chandler or something.
That would have been like harder, I think, for Hope people to stick around, because it's like, man, he's not Vance, and it's very different. At Hope, people like, they all think they've seen me grow up. So they're like, oh, the guy we watched grow up is now leading.
The guy that was singing.
A lot of families went to different churches. A lot of families came to Hope. Like Pastor Teddy, he was on staff at Central for years. And so, one weekend we came back and told my mother-in-law, I'll see you at church. She wasn't my mother-in-law at the time. She was my girlfriend's mom. She was like, oh, we're going to this new church called Hope Baptist Church. It's this little church on Pebble Road. So we showed up, and that was the first time I heard Vance preach, and I was like, this is wild. It's very different than Central, but started plugging in there instead. So that's kind of the transition happened.
That's awesome. That's kind of like me. I started with Gene Apple.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law took us there.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, Judd Wilhite, and I'm like, you know what? Let's give him a chance. See what it's about. And I wasn't a follower. I just went to church because I was, what do I always say? Recovering Catholic.
Yeah.
So, you went to church on Sunday.
Yep.
Same thing, but I liked them. I liked the story, and I was like, we're going to stick around.
Yeah, it's cool.
But then, you always want to move up a little. So Kevin actually took me to Hope, and I was like, cool. Pastor Pittman, this guy's awesome.
Yeah.
I would love it at the end. Wait, just give me 2 more minutes.
Yeah. For sure.
So that's how I ended up there. That's awesome.
I don't think, because Vegas is just such a transplant, right? Is there any other pastors in Vegas that were born and raised and became a pastor here? Or are you like the first one?
So, you guys know this, being from Vegas. I wasn't born here. I was born in California. You can't say you're born and raised in Vegas unless you're really born and raised in Vegas.
I thought you were.
No, I wish I was, because it'd be easier if I was. Because it's like Vegas people, man, they're serious. Like, that's why with the Golden Knights, it's
so
like
you're
Vegas
from Cali
born.
too?
Yeah, I was born.
Me too.
I was born in Valencia, California.
Where's that at?
Magic Mountain.
Oh, Magic Mountain.
Yeah. So
By the grapevine.
in '94, you guys are all from Cali.
Yeah.
So you guys
Northern
remember
California.
Okay.
He's Southern.
Southern.
My wife was Southern.
And Jerry's.
I
Southern.
lived in Santa Clarita for a little while.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's from Spain.
So 94, you guys remember the Northridge earthquake?
Yes.
Freeway broke, the whole thing. So I was 7, and it was crazy. We had no power for 2 weeks. It was wild. And so both my parents got laid off. That
Now this is your mom and stepdad, or your
mom and stepdad.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom and dad got divorced when I was like 4.
4.
Mom and stepdad. My dad, that's when my dad moved. He went to Iowa first, but then Dallas. That's kind of my Dallas connection.
Nice.
So they were out of work, and my stepdad's been in construction his whole career. He just retired. So at that time, Vegas is like completely booming. I mean, fastest growing city in America was Henderson, Nevada. So we moved here, and in my 3rd grade class, 2 months after we moved here, they do the whole, did anybody move here? Like half the class that summer had moved from California.
Yeah.
Kind of like it is right now, honestly.
Yeah,
Over these last few years, we have so many people
Yep.
from California, like you guys. That's how it was.
Like him, he's a newly transplant.
How long?
Well, we came.
5
I
years?
retired in 2015. I moved here in November.
Oh, so you got 9,
2015.
almost 10 years.
Yeah, so man,
8,
it was crazy, the boom back then. He just retired. He's been building houses and apartments and condos here for
Dude,
30
when
years.
I moved there, Lake Mead Drive was not the 215.
Nope.
It was just one road.
I remember when the 215 opened from where it starts in Henderson, and all they had, it was only to Windmill.
Yeah, windmill.
And we literally, like one night, we just drove on the freeway just to drive on the
Nobody
freeway.
was on it, right?
We were just like, let's go drive on this new freeway. Yeah, so it's crazy.
And
And
now they're just building everywhere.
it's insane, bro. Yeah, so I was not born here. I
Oh.
wish I was, because
My
my friend Mark-
is a guy that's born here. Become
my
a
friend
pastor.
Mark Overland, so you might know him, he's the kids pastor at Hope Henderson. So he plays drums sometimes. Anyways, he's one of my best friends. He is a pastor at Hope Henderson, born and raised in Las Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah. He's probably the only pastor on our Hope Church staff total that was born and raised in Las Vegas.
Okay.
Pretty rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is rare.
And I guess I've missed the story where you.
Well,
came
he
from
always
California,
says, I was raised.
I was raised here.
He never said
Never
I was
says
born.
No,
Never.
Because
yeah.
those people come after you,
See,
man.
those
They'll
are
come out
those
of
key-
come out of the woodwork.
Keywords, born and raised.
Yeah, they'll come out of the woodwork. They'll be like, "You were not born here. You're
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
a transplant."
I correct them when they say
Yeah.
born. I'm from
Yeah.
South Central. Bro. Don't say I was born here.
All right, so for people that don't know, we talked about it in the last one. You did a long time. You were the head of the
Worship.
Worship
worship,
stuff, yeah.
Creative.
So I love listening to you sing. There's this one song I'm drawing a blank. When you sing it, you just sing.
Get
you
your
just
guitar,
sang it.
Jerry.
When we had Trenton, he said you were going to be singing that weekend, and you sang that song that I like. Just can't remember what it was. But anyhow, do you like preaching better, or I know this is kind of probably a silly question, or do you like doing the music better? I
mean, they're totally different. Yeah.
but
I would say right now, I mentioned in the last episode, I love learning new things, and so not that I was like couldn't learn anymore singing, but I've been doing that for so many years. Like preaching is the new craft that I'm growing in, and so singing, I was a little, I wouldn't say burnt out, but when you do every single weekend, multiple services, rehearsals, like it has been nice to not have to do that every week.
Sure.
But like the creative team will ask me 4 or 5 times a year to lead. I just led a few weeks ago, and I love it. I love jumping back up there. I will say your fingers
Take a
forget. Like the calluses start to soften up. So like at the end of this last weekend I led worship, I was like, man, I feel like such a pansy. My hands hurt so bad.
I don't know what that's
When you're
like,
playing
but-
week in and week out, like you literally get hardened calluses where you don't feel it.
So you don't play at home just for fun?
I don't.
Just to
man.
keep
every
up?
once in a while. So my oldest son, Bryce, and my younger son. My younger son plays the drums, and he's starting to dabble in the guitar. So we have like a little guitar for them, and I have my nice guitar at home. Every once in a while, I'll pull out the guitar and play around, but it's pretty rare. Things are just pretty crazy at home. We're Uber drivers taking kids all over the place. So every once in a while, like a few days ago, I actually busted it out and just started playing some of the old songs.
I mean, since you homeschool them, you could do music as one of the.
No, they do.
Oh,
No,
okay.
they do. Like today, my oldest son and daughter both have piano lessons.
Oh,
They
okay.
do.
But someone else.
They do
teaches
lessons. Yeah. We take them. Yeah,
Okay.
they do lessons with the same people that Aiden goes to. So they have like a whole piano.
Oh, nice.
crew. We were just at a recital last Friday of all of our kids doing the piano. So.
them. Nice.
Yeah, I love my kids. Love music. That was one of the things I wanted my kids to be musicians because I know how much music, especially the piano. I wish I would have started on the piano. I can kind of play piano, but not great. When you learn piano first, it like sets the course for everything else.
Mm.
Like when my son picked up a guitar, he was automatically light years ahead of where I was the first time I picked up a guitar because he understands like the theory of it. Like he understands chords and scales and all that stuff. So I've never forced my kids to play instruments. I've just always sang and played music around the house and talked about cool things I heard in songs, and they kind of all just got it.
Are they kind of like natural?
Bryce is really good, but he's now been playing for like 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's almost his whole life.
he started maybe not 10 years. I guess he started when he was like 6.
Oh, wow.
So he's honestly a freak. Like he's crazy good at the
When are we
piano.
going to see him up there?
Well, that's the thing. Right now we got to get him away from the stage fright. But he actually is going to start playing at Hope Students.
Nice.
He really is. He is great.
And you got to
Avery
get the
just
permission
started.
slip from Candace.
Yeah. Avery just started, so she's like, she's several years behind him, but she's learning. She's doing well.
She's doing keyboard or
Yeah,
piano?
piano. And then Blaine, my youngest son, he plays drums, and he's awesome at the drums. Aria just sings. She starts to. What's cool about having
That's
a
the
piano?
youngest
That's
one?
my youngest.
Okay.
That's cool with having a piano at the house. Like kids will just go in there and pluck around, and next thing you
Yeah.
know, you like hear them doing something cool. And you're like, oh, they're like kind of self-teaching themselves.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's pretty cool.
Now the youngest one, is she She's adopted?
Adopted, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
How did that come about? Were you...
I was never into adoption. Honestly, like we had friends, the Souzas at Hope, like we love them, but like I was never that guy. I was like, man, that seems like kind of crazy. I don't think that would ever be me.
Fostering 3 kids under 5.
Yeah, right? Yeah, wild. And that, seriously, like I admired that from a distance. We never had any problem. Like I said in the last episode, we got pregnant 3 months after. Like we had no problem, conceiving our own children. So I just thought that's great for those people, but never for us. And my wife has always had a desire to adopt. But yeah, we had this event at Hope. It was kind of before Fostering Hope, which is our ministry now. It was kind of that, it was before that came to fruition. But we'd still like highlight that because of the Souzas and their journey. And Carly just invited me to this event for pastors where they were sharing the need of foster parents in the city of Las Vegas. And I just went as a favor for a friend, and man, God just broke my heart.
So you fostered her first,
and
then adopted.
So when you work through Department of Family Services, which is what we did, you have to foster first. Like they need to. There's a whole process. It's not like a private adoption is if there was just a random person, or like a lot of people do foreign private adoptions. Those are really expensive, but this is like pretty raw. But like what you get there is like you don't get the trauma. Right? Like these are people that were born, their parents didn't want them, you get them, and they're like blank slates. Yeah. When you do it through your foster care system, there's a lot of trauma involved. Sure. There's a reason they're in foster care. So sometimes that trauma is, minimal. Sometimes it's extreme. And so the process is a lot. But that was the original intent. Like it wasn't that I just wanted to adopt somebody. It was I heard the need. Like Child Haven, where the foster kids go, they're not supposed to be there for more than 24 hours. And there's kids that have been there for like months. There's just not enough foster parents. So shout out to the Roberts.
It's even worse.
Shout out to the Roberts who are doing this. I mean, it's so cool. So that's how it started, man. And we, it just, the journey took us to adoption. And, I had a friend here in town. He was at Hope. He's since moved, but he fostered a child for 6 years, fully intending to adopt him. Dad was on drugs. Mom was, I think, either deceased or I don't know. And I mean, all signs pointed to this he literally got him, I think, the second day of his life.
Oh, wow.
So imagine basically from the day he's born until he's 6 years old. And man, out of nowhere, his dad got his life together. And I remember the day he called us and said, help me. Like, they're taking my son away. Yeah. And
that's the hardest thing.
I knew I could not do that. So when we entered into the system, I was very clear. Like I'm looking to help the children whose their parents, their birth parents' parental rights have already been terminated, whether that be from death or they're incarcerated or whatever.
Court, whatever.
Yeah. So they're called legally free in the system. They're legally free to be adopted. There's no waiting. There's no person getting their life. So Aria, my daughter, she her mother is a prostitute here in Vegas. And she basically said, what do I need to sign? I don't want this girl ever. So signed her parental rights away. And so they were looking for Aria they call it a forever home. So we were looking for somebody specifically to adopt. And we got introduced. And
now, is this Hope Church partnering with Child Haven, or you
no,
just outside of Hope
now
Church?
We do. But this is all before that. So Fostering Hope is a ministry that's been birthed out of this because there's been a lot of parents like the Roberts, like us that are in this. But this is in the early days. This is 2017 before Fostering Hope was a thing. This was still like kind of bootstrap. Like Carly's always been very involved. So it was more like working with Carly, but there was not like an official ministry at Hope yet.
Gotcha.
So praise God there is now. I mean, we have we do the foster care classes, like to get licensed for people at Hope. When we did it, we had to go down to downtown MLK, at their main place. So now we offer that at Hope as a way to hopefully, get more foster parents.
That's amazing that you did that. It's amazing that people do that. My wife and I did respite care one night, and the kid hit our kid, and I'm like, because I was working patrol, and then we made an arrest, and CPS gets there. And normally you can't just let them go with anybody, but they didn't have anybody. So I'm like, hey, my wife does daycare out of our home. We could watch them for the night. And then like they punched them or something. Yeah, I'm like, I'm done. I'm just not going to do it.
CPS, come pick them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart, man. One of the things I've said is, and this is is it unscripted or unfiltered? Either way.
Yeah, it's
A lot of people
cool.
think from the outset, like I say the word sexy, and like everyone's like, oh man, it's such a, oh thank you for doing that. Like it looks so the flyers, like man, you adopted. It's not for the faint of heart, man. It's tough. I mean, it's been February was just 7 years, and man, when you're dealing with when she was abandoned at 2 months old by her mom at a budget suites, a lot of abuse, a lot of trauma that like she can't even articulate, but like we know now neuroscience, like the things that happen to babies' brains when they're abandoned like that.
Yeah.
So it's been a long journey of
What age?
therapy.
What age was she abandoned?
2 months.
2 months.
Then she was with an awesome foster home for a year and a half, but it was a lady in her 70s, and one day she was just watching Aria play, and she's like, and originally she wanted to adopt her, but she's like, what are you doing? Like, by the time this girl's 10, I'll be 80. Like, she's already been through enough. And so she called CPS or Child Aid and said, I want you to find a young family with other kids that this girl can thrive. Because she basically had her in a playpen 12 hours a day watching TV. Like, what's a 7-year-old woman going to do with this little baby?
Yeah.
So praise God for that. I mean, we still actually talk to her. She lives in Idaho, and she's great. She's a Hawaiian Mormon lady who she's fostered kids like tons of kids over the years, like 18 years she's been fostering kids.
Oh, wow.
And her husband passed away, and that was kind of her she felt like her calling. So yeah, we were able to step in, and she's been with us since 2017.
Do you think you guys will ever do it again?
No.
That was a quick response.
Well, so for me, I was actually good with 3 kids. Like, again, shout out to people like the Souzas who can have like 9 kids.
Right.
Like, I came from two kids and then my stepbrother. So, man, six kids, 6 people total, 4 kids and me and Candace. We're good. We're good.
Candace is good too.
Yeah. No, we're good. We're good.
And are you able to talk to Aria, right?
Aria, yeah.
Like if she has questions, because she's black, right?
Yeah.
So
Half black.
So she knows you're not the real parents.
That came up really early. You know, it just happens when like Blaine is talking about seeing pictures of Candace pregnant with him. Like, oh, when I was in mommy's belly, and like pretty soon Aria starts going, wait, was I ever?
Where's
in
mine?
mom's?
Yeah.
Was I ever in mom's belly?
Yeah.
So very early, and we with her, some families choose, like, if they look the same, they choose to wait a long time. I mean, like, they don't take a rocket scientist. You see my family, even my 3 biological kids. My wife's Hispanic, and none of them, like, they all look just like me. Like, So not even any of the Hispanic kind of rubbed off on the. So you see us, you see my Hispanic wife, my 3 white kids, and then my black daughter. It's like, what happened here? So it was very, like, we had the conversation really early. We don't know much about her dad. We know some information. We do know she has some other biological siblings in Florida. Like, he's had other kids with other women. And we know she's currently, I found her on Facebook. She's currently a prostitute here in Vegas. So who knows, man? We could run into her. It's kind of crazy.
Wow.
You guys know Vegas.
That was going to be my
Vegas is a big
question.
a big city, but not really.
Yeah,
you run into people all the time. So no, we had that conversation very early, and we, from a Christian perspective, we shared with her very early, like, you were not born into our family, but God made you to be a part of our family.
Yeah.
So,
That would be my fear, like the family coming, I don't know, wanting to be around or whatever.
Yeah.
Like her, because she could be on drugs. I'm not saying she is.
Yeah.
But if she is,
Yep.
She might want to, like,
that's the hard part.
For
sure.
Because being a cop 25 years, I'm fully aware of Child Haven. We sent so many kids there, and what they have to go through is just like, wow, like poor kids, and then they wonder why the world is the way it is, But thank God we have people like you, Jerry, take them in. Yeah. Because I don't think I could do it. Like, I don't think I could foster or adopt. But who knows? He may have that in my path.
Hey, let's go.
Yeah, I'm retired.
Talk to Jerry. He's got it. He's got the number. He's got the number for you.
So being the senior pastor now, is it hard to have, like, probably before that you have your friends, but now that you're the senior pastor, like, all these people, I don't know if the right wording is they want to be your friends, but is it hard to be friends with so many because you're just so busy with sermons and running the church? And so do you do you think your circle of friends got smaller as you became the senior pastor?
No.
Or how do I get into that circle?
I wouldn't say that. For me, I had like a real tight group of dudes, specifically, and then friends my wife and I have together that are still my best friends. I mentioned Mark
From
Overland.
childhood.
Yeah, I mean, or for many years. I met Mark my first year at Hope, so 2007. I met Mark Overland. He was a fellow Blink-182 fan. So I ran into him, and he's 2 years younger than me, so we grew up in the same era. He grew up playing in bands and skateboarding and the whole thing. So he's our kids pastor at Hope Henderson, and he was just at my house doing CrossFit 2 hours ago. So, like, we're still, like, he does not that, I don't think anyone looks at me like, oh my gosh, Scott. But, like, that happens as the church gets bigger. But, like, these guys, like, they're not like impressed by me. I'm their friend. And yeah, my buddy that I was telling you about, I'm going hunting. He's a great friend that we talk every day. We FaceTime each other like every day. He's one of my, like, we just keep each other accountable. He's a pastor up there as well. Pastors a small church there in Hannaford, Maine. And yeah, he's another guy that, like, he knows me, like, really knows me. And so I think it's important. I think when some of these guys that you hear about go sideways, it's because they don't have any friends. So all they have are the people only telling them how great they are.
Yeah.
And nobody keeping them accountable and, like, asking the hard questions. So I have several guys. I meet with a guy who's an older retired pastor here in town, pastored a great church here for many years. I meet with him once every 6 weeks, and he just, like, asks me all the hard questions. Ask me how my soul is. Ask me how my marriage is. I just have, praise God, like, some really good friends that were already in place before all this and aren't impressed now that this is happening. It's like, Trenton's a great friend of mine, and was a great friend of mine before I was his boss, you know? And so, yeah, it's
Pastor
cool.
Pittman, is he part of the circle?
Yeah, I mean, so Vance moved. Vance and Trap, they all moved to Atlanta, but I'll still reach out to Vance. Like, I reached out to him somewhat recently about a question, like, something came up, and I was like, I just saw him at a conference my wife and I were at. It's always great to see him.
Awesome.
And so, yeah, I mean, Vance, it is I can't describe, it's hard to even say, like, how much I learned from Vance over the years.
Influence.
And I couldn't even quantify it. Like, when you're just under somebody's leadership for 15 years, you just learn so much that you don't even know, kind of in some ways, where you begin and they end, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. He's another guy that if I know if anytime I need help, specifically, he's the only other pastor who's ever pastored Hope Church. Like, that's pretty crazy. Like, there's two guys that have pastored Hope Church, me and Vance. So I could always call him and get info or input and you know, whatever. He's always willing for that. So yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And he now lives in.
He
Georgia.
lives in Woodstock, Georgia.
Yeah.
I think I don't know exact city.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Funny that they
he
came
goes
from there and
he
then
goes
they
to the
ended
church
up
that planted Hope. So that's where the Send Network is headquartered.
headquarters.
Yeah, so it makes a lot of sense.
Is that why Pastor Ted is moving too?
Vance, he ain't moving. He ain't moving.
He just had his grandkid.
No, he ain't moving. Pastor Teddy? Is that
who's moving?
I don't know, but that's
moving.
No,
Janice?
Teddy got hired.
Teddy's
he's living here. Right?
Yeah. I was
He's
like,
gonna stay living here then.
Yeah, so Teddy's role is he's gonna be traveling a lot. Actually, we're going out to breakfast Thursday because we hadn't hung out in probably a month, so I need to kind of get an update on his new role. But from what I heard, he's basically doing a lot of traveling to worship, like to smaller church plants, and like helping their worship teams.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
like just what he's totally gifted at. So no, his wife just became. She's been trying to be a principal for years here. Like, she's been a vice principal, Pam, for like, I want to say like 18 years, but wanted to be a principal, and she finally got it. I just heard Pam called, because we've been praying for that. Pam called Candace and said, I got one.
Congrats
I'm gonna be a
to
principal.
her.
So, and his youngest daughter, Judea, is she's finishing up her degree. She got a couple more years at UNLV, a music degree. She's the one that's kind of following in Teddy's footsteps. Like in music, like she loves music. She's really gifted musically. So, yeah, they're here, but he'll just be traveling a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, they come to the Thursday night service. He just sits.
So I gotta catch that bird and
right
say,
to my left, man. Yeah, he's right
catch
there.
that bird and say, why'd you tell me that?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's definitely his outfits all the time are so Amazing, man.
Teddy is
He used
eclectic.
to order Nike shoes from Kevin when he worked at Nike.
Yep.
Did you also?
I didn't. So another guy at our gym also works at Nike.
Oh, does he?
Currently, yeah. He's his name's Mark. So we all get our shoes through Mark.
Yeah. Because Kevin, I'm like, dude, that's not your size.
Yeah.
Oh no, these are for Pastor Teddy, or this is for this guy, or whatever. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So what do your parents, since they didn't raise you in a Christian home,
Yeah.
what do they think about you becoming a pastor?
They love it, man. They
Do they attend?
yeah, they do.
Nice.
My mom serves. She just retired, and my stepdad just retired. My stepdad retired, but he's the kind of guy he never retires, right? So he retired from construction.
So he's part of our group, Jerry.
But he works. He works
He's
four.
still working.
He works.
He's retired though.
He works 4 days a week at the. It's called the Range. It's Green Valley Gun Range.
Oh yeah, down
So-
over there by
range? The 702 range?
no, Green Valley.
Oh.
I don't know which
Green
one.
Valley range.
The range.
He runs into people all the time from Hope.
Yeah.
He's always telling them that I'm his son. So I mean, so like I said, I grew
So
up
he likes
shooting,
guns.
hunting. Oh yeah, man.
Nice.
We're all.
Oh, that's right. He was
We're all
Hell's
armed
Angel.
and ready to rock and roll. Yeah. So no, that's it.
No, he hung out
loves
with
it.
them. He hung out with them.
He loves it. He wasn't a Hell's
Yeah.
Angel. Yeah. Correct the script. You don't get out of that. There's 2 ways out of that.
Yeah,
You either die or
exactly.
you are in prison somewhere. But yeah, no, they love it. They're there every 8:30 service. They kind of sit right behind where I sit. You've probably seen him. He's always wearing a hat. He's like got a big mustache.
So he doesn't have the beard?
He doesn't have the beard.
No?
No, he's got a big like
Handlebar?
handlebar mustache.
No, I only remember your cousin. I was like,
Yeah. And then my mom serves out in guest services, so she's always there in the
okay.
morning. And no, they love it, man. It's cool.
I got to meet his brother.
Yep.
He went to our tailgate down in L.A.
Yeah.
We did a Dallas Cowboy
Yeah,
game
yeah.
together.
Yeah, we showed up. To
He's
Cowboys on
He's
it.
like, you guys have this kind of meat? Like, our tailgate consists of hamburgers and hot dogs.
Yeah.
So living in Vegas, how did you become a Cowboys fan?
So the story, yeah, my dad, my real dad, who lives here in Vegas as well, he also comes to Hope. It's wild. So I got my
they get along?
yeah,
I need
it's
to
very
know if
no, they get along. It's great. My dad's over here. My stepdad and my mom are over here. It's amazing. It's crazy.
So he lives here now also?
He lives, yeah. He moved here. He retired as well, and I mean he's really living the retired life. Pickleball 4 days a week, golf 3 days a week. He lives up in Anthem. Him and his whole crew went on a pickleball cruise.
Oh, wow.
They picked a cruise ship that has multiple pickleball courts. I mean, he saved well. He pinched every penny and is retiring like a king. He's
That's
killing
awesome.
it. He literally just got back from a 21-day trip around the world. Like went to Asia and did it was more than that. It was like 2 months because he did a 19-day cruise from Australia to Hawaii.
Wow.
He's living his best life.
One of those big cruise
Yeah,
ships?
it's crazy.
Wow.
So, my parents were still married, he went on business one time to Dallas. This is when we were in California still. And, the pennants used to, like, hang on you. Like,
Yeah.
those flags used to hang on your... I think now that I know him, he probably was like, oh, man, I'm in the airport. What do I get for this kid? He probably grabbed it at at the souvenir shop at the airport. And that was in 91. So I know nothing about football, but that was the first year. I'm like, well, I hang this thing on my wall. What's up with this Dallas Cowboy team? About back-to-back world championships against the Bills. That's the 90s era Cowboys. That's Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, Deion Sanders, all the things. So, and then in 96 when they won against the Steelers, shout out.
The year I met my wife. Can't believe we lost that.
So that was it. I mean, there was not a better time to be a Cowboy fan. So that was my whole childhood,
Okay.
and then we've been chasing that for 25 years.
Been
Yeah.
frustrated for 25
So
years.
last week we were in Mexico, and when I came back, we were stopped at Dallas Airport. I'm like, I got to get this for him because it has the flag and.
Oh, let's go!
So
Yeah,
I'm like, I got to get him that.
that's
shirt
amazing. That's a really nice
So-
shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it was inside the airport.
Yep.
at the
So that was it,
place,
man.
and-
Because back then, obviously, we didn't have any sports teams at all here. Now we got a bunch. But,
Yeah.
A's are coming. Raiders are
That's
here.
not a real team.
I still need you to introduce me to my man here, the Steelers,
Oh, I need you
Miles.
to. Yeah, Miles.
because I'd like to help him in
Oh,
the
Miles
summer.
Miles
Killebrew.
Killebrew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I know I've heard that he does some summer
Yeah.
camps,
Yeah.
and
He was just there a few
and
weeks ago, man. I was
Cops,
just talking to him.
and NFL players should try to bridge the gap. So hopefully we'll be able to help him. I'd love to help him if he if so. So yeah, but yeah, I know the parents.
Yeah.
And I know they're really good friends. Who's my old next door neighbor, the Cacarios. But yeah, it's like I just never met him yet.
What's crazy is Miles was in our student ministry when I was student pastor, and he was like very decent at football, but he was like pretty small, even
He's
for
still
high school.
small, actually, for the NFL.
Well, but he's a giant to normal humans. Like
Yeah,
when
yeah,
he
yeah.
comes up to you and you're just like, and especially when you like give him the dab up hug, you're like, it's just
Solid.
solid.
Yep.
You are an actual brick wall.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, he's been killing him. I think it's his 6th year in the league.
Yeah.
Special teams captain. I mean, he's killing it, man.
Yeah.
Super
Made
cool.
Pro Bowl last year.
Super cool to see
Kevin
that,
actually
man.
played with him. Well,
Yeah.
not on the same team, but
No,
against
Coronado
him.
Foothill.
Coronado
Yeah.
versus Foothill, yeah. I remember that kid returning those kicks. I'd close my eyes.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's pretty cool.
yeah. It's
So
good.
since I work at the courthouse, have you ever been called to jury duty since you?
I've never been selected. I've
But
definitely.
you've been called.
Oh yeah,
to
I
go through
think
the
2 or 3
process
times.
So you've sat in there and
I've,
waited?
yeah, but
with the little sticker.
one time,
Prospective
one
jury.
time I did the call thing and they said you don't have to report. I was like, thank God, because it's such a pain.
It is.
But I have a friend that actually just served on like a murder trial. She just served as my best friend growing up. The guy who invited me to church for the first time. So I was like, I was like one of their kids basically. I was at their house all the time, and his mom was just on a like months-long trial. It's like, dude, there's a part of you that thinks that could be cool, but then it's like, how do you live your life? And like for me, I don't even know what I would do. Like,
Yeah.
with hope and stuff.
Well,
So-
especially if you're
Well, the
sequestered.
first question that the judge is going to ask is, does your job pay for you to come to
Oh,
jury duty?
okay.
So a lot of county positions, state positions, they
Got
pay.
it. That makes sense.
Some businesses do, some don't.
Somebody told me one time, just if you wanna get out of jury duty real quick, just like show up with a "Make America Great Again" hat or something. They'll be like, "Oh, get this guy out of here."
I don't know. You have to say you're like biased of some sort.
That's what I'm saying. Just like just wear something that makes you go, "I don't want this guy."
Well, you could do like this one guy did. The guy next to him was a Hispanic guy, and he looks right at the judge. He goes, "I hate Mexican."
Oh no!
And everyone's like looking at him. The dude sitting next to him's like,
You are dismissed. Juror 564. You are dismissed.
and,
That's crazy.
I mean, they do come up with some crazy stuff.
So no, I've sat in it for like maybe in a couple hours. I did one time get like through the first level, and I was like, "Oh no!" But then like the second level of cuts, I got cut, and it was like 4 hours, and it was fine.
Yeah.
No, never done that.
right.
When you sent me that question, I was like, what a random question. Like, talking about pastoring and skateboarding, and have you ever sat on a jury?
Because
I'm
that's
like,
where he works.
It's just, part of
Makes
my
sense.
job. I'm like, I want to know.
it's like
if
stream
anybody-
of
'cause I've
consciousness.
never
You're just
been
like
on
typing the questions and going like, oh, I wonder
Like
what
my questions would be like, have you ever been pulled over? I know you haven't been arrested, but
I've never been arrested.
Pulled
Well, we don't know that. That could be the story. 'Cause
That
it is story
Okay.
time already.
Okay.
well, I don't know.
Well,
Can
no.
you be a senior pastor with an arrest record?
I
Probably
don't,
can.
you know, I'm sure you
Yeah,
could.
you have to yell
Maybe not a
Sanders.
hope, but
Yeah,
Um,
I've never been arrested.
but
Because
so,
they
I've had some run-ins with cops.
you, right?
I've had some run-ins with cops back in the early 2000s. Cops and skateboarders, we didn't really get along.
I did. I've
Praise
been a
God,
cop since
you were
90.
you were the cool ones. There would be some cool cops.
Yeah.
You show up and the cops pull up and you're like, oh, we're just skating here, and they're like, hey guys, there's a sign, you can't
Yeah.
do it. And sometimes it's like super cool. Other times it was like, man, is this guy like trying to make an
Well,
example?
which
out
cops
of
are
us?
you talking about? Henderson or Metro?
Mainly
'Cause
Henderson.
Henderson were what you're trying to get to.
Yeah. Henderson, they were pretty cool most of the time.
all right. Well,
Story
we're at
time.
the end
Another
of,
story.
Episode 2, and thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank
Appreciate
you
it.
for
I know
coming on.
we've been working. I know you had to, take care of the family and make sure you thank Candace and the kids
Yeah,
for
sure.
letting you guys come on. Hopefully she'll like the episodes.
Yeah, for
Hopefully
sure.
you'll
And
like
subscribe.
the episodes.
I'm gonna subscribe. I'm telling you before I go to
You
bed
gotta
tonight.
watch them. I know you want to listen, but all the memes that he puts in there.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. On ones like this, there's not as many, but if you go back to some, there are. Like I cussed one time and he went meow because we don't cuss on this.
Yeah.
So we're not like the Kelsey brothers. We don't do
That's
the F-bomb. But okay, so
So
story time.
this is for a niche audience, so hopefully it translates. But I grew up. I mean, I'm a massive fan of the band Blink-182. So I don't know if you guys are too old for that. But
Nope.
Blink-182, man,
I know exactly who they are.
they were everything. I mean, they were early 2000s, late 90s. Everybody who skateboarded and played guitar, followed Blink-182. So, yeah, 3 guys. Mark, Tom, and Travis are their names. I mean, they're very famous. They just like got back together, so it's like this whole thing even now, 20 plus years later. But one day I'm hanging out with my buddy, who was one of my mentors at Central when I first began following Jesus. And we're at In-N-Out Burger, and for whatever reason, we were like in a totally different part of town than we normally are, like out by like the Air Force Base. So really far from where I grew up. I mean, especially like we never went out there for what? We're at this In-N-Out off of Nellis. And out of nowhere, my friend, this girl from Central, she calls me. She said, "Scott, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm about to eat this double-double." Like, we literally just sat down. And she's like, "You'll never believe who I'm watching play poker right now at the Palms." Which this is like the Palms when it was cool. Now I think the Palms is like nobody cares about the Palms. But this is when it was like everything. And I was like, "Who?" And she's like, "Travis Barker." So the audience listening and like knows, like, it's a big deal. Now he's like famous for being married to a Kardashian, which is crazy. Like, I hear that and I'm like, he's famous for playing drums for Blink-182. But most people actually know him now because he's married to, I don't even know, one of them. He's the guy with like tattoos literally over his whole body.
I don't know how you could do that.
You would. Yeah. So anyways, I was like, "Are you serious?" She goes, "You should come. Like, he's like right here. You should come meet him." And we are like, it was a Friday night. We're probably easily 40 minutes away with traffic. So, long story short, I mean, I literally throw my In-N-Out away. Like, I could have just taken it. I was just so overcome with like excitement. We just start booking it down Nellis. We get over to Trop, and we're just trying to get to the strip. But it's literally have to cross over the strip. I mean, it's the worst possible time to get to the Palms from where we were. So I'm like on the phone with her. I said, "Hey, if you love me as a friend, you have to stop him." I mean, this girl's 17 years old. Like, you have to, don't let him leave. So then she goes, okay, we'll do my best. Hurry. So we're hurrying. I mean, we're breaking cops here. We're breaking every law in the book. We're trying to get there. And she calls me about 10 minutes in the drive. We're still probably 25 minutes away. She goes, "Where are you? He's leaving." And I'm like, "Stop him. She's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Just tell him your friend's on the way and he wants to meet him and he's like a huge fan." So like, she's a G. Like, she went and tried to stop Travis Barker. He's got her whole entourage. He's very famous at this time. At this time, he was actually on TV. He had a show called Meet the Barkers. He was like married to some model. Yeah, so he has like an MTV show. Like, he's like a humongous star. So, yeah, she does it. She's such a good friend. She like walks up and I hear her like, "Hey, Mr. Barker, like, my friend Scott." And then you hear like the phone. It's not like an iPhone. This is like early 2000s. It's probably like a flip phone. So it's like, I can't understand what's going on. We're driving way too fast on the road. And this guy's voice comes on the screen, or on the phone. He's like, "Hey, what's up? What's his name? What up, Scott?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, are you?" And then that moment I realized I've been pranked. Punked was a huge show back then. Yeah. Like, I've been punked. So I go, "She got me." So I say on the phone, "This isn't Travis Barker, you idiot." And then there's like this long pause. And then he's like, starts laughing. He goes, "No, dude, it is." And as soon as the way he said it, like, I recognized his voice. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, dude, I'm so sorry. Like, I thought I was getting punked." I'm like, "Dude, I'm on my way to see you." And he's like, "Yeah, man, come party. Like, I'm just going to the bathroom. Like, I'll be here all night." So I'm like, okay. So we just haul there. We walk in, and I've told this story to students a lot, but it was like one of those moments in movies where like everything slowed down. Like, I swear, like, I saw him from across the, like, he was playing craps. And I'm like 17. I can't even be in that area. Right. But he's got security all around him. But he had told the security, like, "There's this kid coming to meet me." So, like, I start walking up. I'm freaking out. I'll send you the picture so you could, like, throw it in the thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Freaking out.
Do, yeah.
And he, like, it sounds weird, but, like, in my mind, he, like, locked eyes with me. And he, like, walks up and he, like, left the table and he goes, "What's up, Scott?" And gives me a big hug. And I'm just like, "Oh, my gosh. Wow. This is the greatest." So I turn around. We take a quick picture that I'll send Jerry. And it was like the best night of my life, man. It was insane. Wow. And awesome. He was like, "Dude, you staying? Like, play with us, party with us." And I'm like, number one, you guys are doing things I don't want to do. Number two, I'm 17. And so I said, "No, I can't, man. They're probably going to come. Like, I can't even be in this little pit right here." Like, but man, it's great to meet you. And it was like the greatest. It was my only like real celebrity meeting in my life. I've met other people here and there, but sure. The whole story of it was pretty amazing.
Especially because you like them so much.
Oh, dude, it was like everything. I mean, I'm telling you, like, we talked about that every day for months.
I think his
that
ex-wife's
night,
prettier than the Kardashian.
Yeah. The blonde
no
lady.
comment on that. I
The
don't-
blonde lady.
Yeah. But
It was an unbelievable. And
back then, did he have his whole
no,
head tatted and all
so he got
that?
into like a plane crash. I don't know if you know that. Like,
Uh-uh.
so a lot of his tattoos actually got burned off. He had like 3rd-degree burns over his whole body. So most of his tattoos are redone. But no, he was like super tatted up, but not like that. Like he's his tats now are crazy.
I don't know what women see in that when it's all on the face and head.
Yeah, no, it's pretty wild.
Like I just think of prison.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that was that's my story time.
That
Travis
is awesome,
Barker
though.
story.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
And you have a. So was it like a Polaroid back then?
Yeah, straight up. I mean, that's back then. It's so weird now, but back then, like on a Friday night, a bunch of friends would carry around like a little point and shoot. You
Yeah.
know, like a little
Disposable.
And so you still
not
have
a disposable, but like
It
a
was all the little ones.
the little ones. It's like it was like a digital camera. Yeah, like a
the little
Nikon. Yeah.
Nikon,
So she had it. She took the picture, and yeah, I have the picture back then. Like I always wore my hood up. Like that was what like everyone did.
That was a
So
skater boy.
I have my hood up, and Travis has his crooked hat, and he's posing with the. You'll see in the picture. He barely compared to now. He barely has any tattoos.
Wow.
But it was
Nice.
it was epic. And then like just recently, story time's almost over. But just recently, like he talked about pretty much from like 2000 to 2018, he was like an insane drug addict. Doesn't even remember half of his like life.
Wow.
So I'm like, whenever I heard that, I was like, man, that's crazy to think. Like he was like on some crazy stuff back then. Like when that happened,
Yeah.
that was just his lifestyle, you know. So
But at least he, like, actually waited and talked to you.
no, it was crazy,
Because
man.
a lot of people don't do that.
No,
right?
no, and he
So-
was huge. Like I said, he had a TV show. Like
Yeah.
it was a cool moment, man.
Dang.
Yep.
Nice.
Now, did she not get kicked out? She was 17 too.
I think no, she was like when I got there, she was like waiting like on the walkway.
Oh, okay.
Like
was
you know,
there allowed to be?
Yeah, what you're allowed
Yeah.
to be, like when you're like walking to a restaurant or something. But she was just sitting there waiting for us with her friends, and we rolled up, and that's when like she pointed, and that's when we like locked eyes. And it was
That's
like,
awesome.
dude. This
Love
security
at
guy,
first sight.
this security guy was like right there to make sure I wasn't crazy or whatever. Like it was a huge dude that like if I would have done anything crazy, I'm sure he'd have taken me out. But he just hugged me, and I hugged him, and we took the picture, and the rest is history, man.
Oh, awesome.
That is awesome. I can't wait to see the picture now.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Scott, for coming on.
For sure.
Appreciate it. And,
Thank you.
Again, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and thanks for watching another episode of Real Men Unscripted. Peace.
Peace out. See you next week.